If you had to choose between being dropped into the middle of nowhere on land or the middle of nowhere in the ocean, land wins every single time. The deeper you go in water throughout history, the more disturbing the predators waiting there become. One documentary ranked the 10 deadliest bodies of water to ever exist. Jurassic seas full of pliosaurs, Cambrian oceans packed with sea scorpions, the ancient waters that produced the largest shark ever recorded. None of them won. The winner existed during the late Cretaceous, and it makes everything else on that list look almost tame by comparison. Welcome to the Western Interior Seaway, or as it's sometimes called, Hell's Aquarium. You've probably never heard of this body of water, but if you live in the United States, Mexico, or Canada, there's a real chance you've walked across what's left of it. When it existed, it physically split North America in half, creating two separate landmasses, Laramida to the west and Appalachia to the east. This shallow inland sea existed for roughly 34 million years, from about 100 million years ago to 66 million years ago. But one specific window stands out as objectively the worst, the Campanian Age, roughly 84 to 72 million years ago. At its peak, this sea stretched nearly 970 kilometers wide and over 3,200 kilometers long, yet it was strangely shallow for its size, averaging only around 50 meters deep, with a maximum depth of roughly 900 meters at its absolute deepest point. Small relative to a true ocean, and somehow it crammed in more terrifying predators per square mile than almost anywhere else in Earth's history. The single most famous predator in these waters, and almost certainly the worst thing you could swim into, was the mosasaur, an extinct group of aquatic reptiles related distantly to modern monitor lizards, but built with 4 paddle-like flippers and a long, streamlined body for cutting through water. These animals dominated the Western Interior Seaway so completely that over 10 genera coexisted simultaneously, ranging from roughly 2 meters to potentially 18 meters long. But realistically, you'd only encounter 3 species regularly: Clydastes, Platecarpus, and Thalassophobia. Clydastes was the smallest of the trio, but still reaching up to 6 meters, comparable to the largest great white sharks ever recorded, just far more slender and agile. Platecarpus grew larger, up to 7 meters and roughly a ton, though ironically, its teeth were structurally fragile, suggesting it mostly fed on smaller fish and soft-bodied squid rather than anything large enough to fight back. Then there's Thalassophobia. Adults reach 12 to 16 meters long, close to the size of a humpback whale, and one of the largest mosasaurs to ever exist anywhere on the planet. Its stomach contents tell the real story: the remains of plesiosaurs, turtles, birds, sharks, and even other mosasaurs. Thalassophobia had a built-in weapon most people have never heard of. Its snout was unusually elongated with teeth set far back, leaving the front of the skull pure, solid bone reinforced with internal shock-absorbing structures, essentially a biological battering ram. Fossil evidence shows adults regularly carry damage consistent with this exact behavior, including at least one documented case of a Thalassophobia ramming and shattering the skull of another mosasaur outright, killing it instantly. Despite Thalassophobia brutality, it wasn't the largest mosasaur in these waters. That title belonged to Mosasaurus itself, occasionally growing past 17 meters and weighing over 10 tons. It lacked Thalassophobia battering ram, but arguably possessed the more lethal bite. Its skull was proportionally massive, lined with teeth that had 2 cutting edges each, plus internal ridges that helped each bite cut deeper while improving overall grip. Studies estimate its bite force between 13,000 and 16,000 pounds per square inch, roughly 4 times the bite force of a modern saltwater crocodile. Unlike sharks, which primarily hunt by scent, mosasaurs relied on powerful binocular vision, giving them genuinely precise targeting, even in murky water. And Mosasaurus wasn't even alone at this scale. Prognathodon, another mosasaur genus, ran only about 25% smaller and was equally ferocious. But somehow, the deadliest bite in these waters belonged to neither of them. That title went to Deinosuchus, one of the largest crocodilians to have ever existed, prowling the outer edges and coastal regions of the seaway. Western populations of Deinosuchus reached up to 12 meters long and an estimated 8 to 5 tons. While not as long as the largest mosasaurs, it was significantly more heavily built and uniquely armored. Its osteoderms, the bony plates embedded in its skin, were so unusually large and heavy that when first discovered, paleontologists initially mistook them for the armor plating of an entirely different species of armored dinosaur. What truly set Deinosuchus apart was its bite. Some studies estimate a bite force exceeding 100,000 newtons 5 times the force required to crush a car, and potentially more powerful than even a fully grown Tyrannosaurus rex. Its teeth were sharper toward the front and progressively blunter toward the back, suggesting an animal built specifically to crush prey to death rather than simply slice through it. Fossil evidence shows a clear preference for marine turtles, large fish, and any dinosaur unfortunate enough to wander too close to the water's edge. Move away from the coastline into open water, and you'd find an entirely different category of nightmare cephalopods that rivaled today's largest squid in raw size. Tusoteuthis and Enchoteuthis, two closely related and frequently confused genera, were technically more closely related to modern octopuses than to true squid, despite a similar overall body shape. Juveniles were extremely vulnerable and made up a significant portion of other predators' diets. But adults could grow past 3 meters and became genuine active predators themselves, documented hunting, fish, invertebrates, and even baby mosasaurs and plesiosaurs. But the real titan of Cretaceous cephalopods wasn't a squid relative at all. Parapazotia was an ammonite, a now extinct shelled relative of modern nautiluses, and it holds the title of the largest ammonite and the heaviest cephalopod ever known to exist, outweighing both the modern giant squid and colossal squid combined. The largest known shells measured roughly 3 and 5 meters across. With soft tissue included, these animals weighed over 1.5 tons, with nearly half of that mass coming from the shell alone. Uncoiled, the total body length would have reached roughly 18 meters, close to twice the length of a modern whale shark. This makes Parapazosia the heaviest invertebrate to ever exist on this planet, full stop. Sharks weren't the apex predators in these waters, but they were everywhere, filling both scavenger and active predator roles simultaneously. Tychodus, the largest of them, reached roughly the size of a modern whale shark, but unlike a whale shark, it wasn't a filter feeder. Its teeth were flat, crushing plates rather than blades, specialized entirely for shellfish, crustaceans, and turtles. Far more dangerous was Cretoxorhina, nicknamed the Ginsu shark, bearing an uncanny resemblance to a modern great white despite no close relation, a pure case of convergent evolution. Reaching 8 meters and over 5 tons, fossil evidence shows its primary diet consisted largely of other apex predators, sharks, mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, even dinosaur carcasses washed out to sea. Specialized scale patterns reduce drag significantly, and models estimate top speeds approaching 70 kilometers per hour, allowing devastating high-velocity strikes from teeth larger and thicker than a modern great whites. A smaller relative, Squalocorax the crow shark, supplemented its diet with active hunting of pterosaurs, skimming low over the water, in addition to fish, including one particularly nasty bony fish worth its own mention. Cephactinus, commonly called the X-fish, was a large predatory bony fish with one of the most genuinely menacing faces in the entire fossil record. Its jaw was broad, slanted, and extremely flexible, allowing adults reaching 5 to 6 meters long to swallow shockingly large prey whole. One famous specimen known as the fish within a fish shows a nearly 2-meter-long fish swallowed completely intact by a medium-sized Xiphotinus, which then apparently died from the attempt. Over a dozen similar specimens exist, confirming this wasn't an isolated event. Beyond swallowing prey whole, its sharp, narrow teeth allowed it to scavenge larger carcasses or slice living prey into smaller, more manageable pieces first. Even the seaway's longer-necked plesiosaurs, like Elasmosaurus, stretching up to 6 meters with the most vertebrae of any known animal, weren't true apex predators. They specialized in small fish and invertebrates, using that absurdly long neck to approach prey while their massive bodies stayed hidden, essentially disguising themselves as just another fish. So what happened to all of this? The seaway was already shrinking gradually as sea levels changed across millions of years. But the true end came 66 million years ago, when the asteroid responsible for ending the age of dinosaurs struck Earth. The impact hit unusually close to this exact body of water, triggering a massive tsunami and catastrophic environmental damage. Fish fossils from this period have actually been found with asteroid impact debris embedded directly in their gill tissue. That impact wiped out the mosasaurs, the giant crocodilians, the massive ammonites, and effectively ended Hell's Aquarium for good. But here's the part worth sitting with. This wasn't some isolated freak event in Earth's history. It was simply one chapter in an ongoing pattern. Every era of this planet's oceans has produced something capable of redefining what a sea monster actually looks like. The Western Interior Seaway just happened to stack an unusually large number of them into one shallow 34 million year window. And the genuinely unsettling part is that nothing about this pattern actually stopped 66 million years ago. The ocean has kept producing exactly this kind of horror ever since. It just looks different each time.